It may sound a little strange, but before humans had jobs, they still had a great deal to do. No alarm clocks, no messages from the boss, no morning shift, no afternoon shift, no monthly salary, and no weekend to look forward to. An ancient person might open their eyes at daybreak, look outside, and see a day that was completely blank on paper. But that very blankness was frightening because no one assigned them tasks, but no one guaranteed there would be food tonight either. No deadlines, but there was hunger. No timesheets, but there was cold and wild animals. Children needed to be watched over. Tools got chipped, water sources could run dry, and footprints in the dirt could lead the whole group to a meal or to a pointless trip. Honestly, the most interesting thing is not whether they had more free time than us or suffered more than us. The real question is, when there was no concept of a job, what did humans spend the whole day doing? If you like stories of history and survival, seen through very everyday things, please subscribe to the channel. Now try stepping into a day without clocks. A day without clocks does not begin with the question, what work should I do today? It begins with a much colder question, should we spend our strength today? When daylight comes, the first thing might not be getting up and rushing out to hunt. Sometimes the whole group had to look at the sky, the wind direction, the tracks on the ground, the amount of food left, the condition of the children, the elderly, and those with sore feet. One wrong decision in the morning could cost them the entire day, chasing an old trail or going too far from a water source. This happened long before agriculture existed. Researchers often place the beginning of agriculture at around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. While stone tools, according to the Smithsonian's Human Origins program, have left archaeological traces stretching back at least 2.6 million years, meaning that for most of human history, the first task of the morning was not production, but judgment, where to go, stay, wait longer, or turn back before it was too late. And once they decided to leave shelter, they did not step into a neat workday. The way we imagine, finding food in the age of hunting and gathering was not just the scene of a few men holding spears, running after large animals. It was usually smaller, messier, and much more ordinary. One person digging tubers, another searching for ripe fruit, someone checking for beehives, someone fetching water, gathering firewood, checking traps, or following animal tracks already half dry on the ground. The surprising thing is, in a classic study of the Jew Hawanzi group in southern Africa, the time spent directly gathering food was estimated at about 20 hours per week for one adult. At first, that sounds like very little, but this is not proof that ancient people were free all day. And it also cannot be applied directly to every prehistoric group because food does not turn itself into life. It still had to be brought back, divided, cleaned, cooked, stored if possible. And every failed trip still burned calories, water, and strength. In that world, coming back empty-handed for a day was not just bad luck. It was a debt the body had to pay. So after a long trip, resting was not laziness. Rest was the body's way of saving itself. A modern person lying still needs energy to breathe, keep body temperature stable, pump blood, and feed the brain. According to Cleveland Clinic, basal metabolism can account for about 60 to 70% of the total energy the body uses each day. Put simply, even when you do nothing, your body is still spending money from its calorie account. For ancient people, this was even harsher if they kept walking under the sun, thirsty, with sore feet, or trying to follow an old trail. The loss was not just strength, it was tomorrow's ability to find food. Honestly, no one forced them to take a lunch break. The sun did. A tree's shade, a sip of water, a few minutes of sitting still, sometimes were not a break between tasks. They were the task itself. After they had walked, searched, and grown tired. The rest of the day did not naturally become free time. Afternoon might be when they repaired tomorrow. A dulled stone blade had to be flaked again. A loose spear shaft had to be tied more tightly. A torn basket had to be mended. Firewood had to be gathered before dark. Animal hides, bones, cords, stones, wood, all of it needed human hands to turn it into something usable. This matters more than we think. According to the Smithsonian's Human Origins program, stone tools have left archaeological traces stretching back at least 2.6 million years, meaning a very long time before fields or occupations existed. Humans and ancient relative humans lived in a world where tools were extensions of the body, but tools were not magic. They chipped, broke, got lost, or failed, right when you needed them most. So a person sitting quietly at the edge of camp, tapping gently at a stone, might not look like they were working. But in fact, that person was repairing tomorrow's chance of survival. And if adults were repairing tomorrow with stone, wood, cord, and fire, then children were also repairing tomorrow in their own way. They played, but do not understand play as the leftover part of life. In a world without schools, play was a less deadly form of training. One child holding a branch and pretending it was a spear. Another imitating how to dig tubers, pick up seeds, start a fire, carry a baby, or follow adults to learn which plants were edible and which places should not be entered. A 2017 review about hunter-gatherer children found 58 documents related to how children learned subsistence skills. The research showed that learning began very early. Children were taken along on foraging trips, allowed to observe, imitate, play with smaller versions of tools, and then gradually take part for real. This sounds warm, but it should not be romanticized. Ancient children were also the most fragile. Playing in the wrong place could become an injury. Going a few steps too far could mean getting lost. And all the things learned, repaired, and brought back by the end of the day would meet in one very small place, the meal. But a hunter-gatherer meal was not only about getting full, it was a test of community. In many hunter-gatherer groups that have been studied, food was often shared according to rules more complex than we imagine. Not always perfectly fair. Not everyone was always happy, as in a romantic painting, but sharing helped spread the risk. Today, one person came back empty-handed. Tomorrow, that same person might find honey, dig up tubers, or help by watching children tending the fire, repairing things. In research on the Hadza, based on data collected from 2005 to 2009, it shows that men did not only hunt large meat animals, but also searched for fruit, honey, small animals, and many other kinds of food. This reminds us that saying hunters fed the whole group is far too simple. A piece of food passed through many hands was not just calories. It was a relationship. And in a world without insurance, a relationship could sometimes be what kept you alive through a bad season. And when the meal had been shared, the day was still not truly over. When darkness fell, the most important thing was sometimes not in their hands, but in memory. No instruction manuals, no maps, no survival skill videos. A group of people had to remember by speaking, by listening, through stories told again and again, which season fruit tended to ripen late, which stream dried up easily, which plant had once given someone a stomachache, which tracks were fresh, where they should not sleep. For a child, it might have been just a story adults told beside the fire, but for the whole group, it was survival data. Archaeologists have found cave paintings in Sulawesi, dating back at least around 45,500 years. This does not prove exactly how ancient people told stories, but it reminds us that humans used images, memory, and symbols very early. Before writing existed, someone remembered, and sometimes the memory of an elder was worth more than a sharp stone blade. And then came night. This was when a day without clocks revealed its true result. If they had gone too far in the morning, the body would enter the night with less strength. If the food brought back was too little, hunger would make people grow cold faster, more irritable, and harder to sleep. If they had not gathered firewood in time in the afternoon, the fire would weaken just as the temperature dropped. If children did not stay close to adults, darkness turned a few steps into a dangerous distance. By day, humans still had light to correct mistakes. By night, everything narrowed around a ring of fire. Modern medicine considers hypothermia to begin when core body temperature drops below about 35 degrees Celsius. That number sounds very scientific. But in ancient life, it could begin in very ordinary ways. Wet hides, an empty stomach, cold wind, too little firewood, a sleep not warm enough. Evidence from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa suggests humans used fire inside the cave about 1 million years ago. But fire does not live by itself. It needs wood and someone to tend it. It needs a whole day of preparation before a small flame. Fire did not make humans defeat nature. It only helped them not lose too quickly. And this is the most frightening point. An ancient day did not collapse because of one single big thing. It often collapsed because many small things slipped out of place. In the morning, misreading the tracks made the whole group lose strength. At midday, going too far drained water and calories faster. In the afternoon, failing to repair tools in time made tomorrow's foraging harder. Dinner shared poorly made relationships within the group more tense. Children did not learn enough. Elders were not listened to, memory was ignored. And when night fell, all those shortcomings gathered around a weak fire. This matters because the hunting and gathering way of life was not a short stage. According to the National Geographic Society, humans lived by hunting and gathering until around 11,000 to 12,000 years ago, before agriculture spread widely and changed how humans settled, meaning that for most of their history, humankind did not live by occupations. They lived by the ability to connect small tasks into a system sturdy enough to get through one more day. So before jobs existed, what did ancient humans do all day? Perhaps the most accurate answer is, they did not do one job. They kept tomorrow possible. That is a very big difference. Modern jobs usually have clear names: doctors, builders, teachers, office workers. But for most of human history, before agriculture spread widely, around 11,000 to 12,000 years ago, life did not operate by titles like that. One person could search for food, repair things, care for children, learn tracks, and maintain relationships with the group. No task stood alone. And no task was entirely secondary. Honestly, what I find interesting is that many things today we often consider outside of work were once at the center of life. Resting at the right time, cooking, sharing, teaching children, remembering paths, listening to elders, keeping the fire through the night. Maybe we exchanged one old kind of survival for a new kind of busyness. But looking back at ancient people is not about dreaming of the past. It is to remember that humans have never survived by personal strength alone. Before they had occupations, they had tomorrow to protect. And perhaps that was humanity's first job.